question number one is this: how does your community designate who is a member? And is there anything that members, and I put that in scare quotes, that members can do in your community that non-members cannot? So how do you designate who a member is, and are there things that members can do that non-members cannot?
Well, I guess I wrestled with the word designate. I guess that's who becomes a member, or what's the process for becoming a member. And I guess I would start out by saying, first of all, we don't press membership, we offer it. And I make that point largely because there was a time when I was in the church, and I think I might have mentioned to one or more people that I've been in this same local church since 1979, so almost 30 years. And so the church has morphed, and I've gone through 5 different pastors, and they've all had different ways of understanding the church, and including some that would really press membership. You needed to become a member, and if you weren't going to become a member, then why are you remaining? And I think that there is an important role for membership, but we've kind of reached the point where, as I said, we offer it. We don't really press it. Having said that, we view membership as a covenantal relationship between the individual and the church. And the only metaphor that I've been able to come up with is that it's the difference between being married and living with someone. Okay. That the two people are together, but in a marriage which is covenantal, there is an intention for this relationship to be permanent, to be long-standing. Whereas in a living together relationship, it could be long-standing, but it doesn't have to be. And there's maybe an unspoken or even a spoken understanding that we could go our separate ways at any time. And we just don't view membership in that way. So we do have a membership class in which we probably talk about what it is to be a part of, what it means to be a part of Burl Naz, as much or more than what it means to be a Nazarene. We invite people to take it. We probably offer it a couple of times a year. And invite people to take it. We don't force people to take it, and even if you take it, you're not forced to become a member. It's your decision, and we will love you, and you can be part of our community, even if you opt out of membership. Mm-hmm. But having said that, if you do opt for membership as a result of taking the class and deciding you want to affiliate with us in this what we consider a covenantal relationship, then there's a couple of things that we're going to look for you to do. We're going to look for you to support the ministry of the church in a variety of ways. One, through your financial sacrifices. Two, through your involvement with ministry, which means that you need to submit to being equipped for ministry, which includes discovering your own gifts, your spiritual pathways, your passions, understanding how those connect with your personality, and allowing us to help you identify a place for ministry. 3, we pretty much insist that you submit to, I say pretty much, that's a qualification, and there's no qualification, that you submit to being counseled, corrected, or disciplined as the leadership deems appropriate, and we don't, and to willingly put yourself in a position where that can take place on a regular basis. And it's not that we go about beating people around the head and ears, as much as being a part of community means being accountable to each other, and most importantly to God. I don't know. I'm kind of running dry here, Scott.
Well, I think you've covered it pretty well. I think the only thing that I would probably add from my particular way of looking at it is that having come from the outside, and as I said in my background, being a kind of this eclectic mix myself of various churches and various types of membership programs and all that kind of stuff, typically what was the common theme before is that, have you decided to become a member of this organization, you know? And no, I don't want to become a member of an organization. I'm interested in becoming a functioning member in the body of Christ. And from that perspective, I view the church corporate. The minute that I really understand my relationship and my responsibilities in the body of Christ corporately, then I know that I'm already a member of that body. However, much to the way in which Byron just kind of phrased it with the analogy of living together versus being married, I very much see that then, if I have a responsibility to the local assembly of that church corporate, what does that responsibility look like, and how do I essentially frame that? The way in which I framed it is that, am I a part of this ministry team? And I think that was the key difference, is that I can be a participant in all the things that are going on, but I may not necessarily hold myself in an accountability relationship, number one. But number two, am I willing to be part of a ministry team that essentially is fashioned itself for propagating essentially God's kingdom, not just essentially my own agenda. So from that standpoint, I very much underscore the work of a membership local assembly. Having said that, though, it's not just about prescribing and subscribing to certain church doctrines and all that kind of stuff. That's kind of where I would personally draw the line. I know a lot of membership statements, you know, wanting to make you have, you know, certain kind of things that you sign on the dotted line. I've always subscribed to the idea, unfortunately Burl Naz pretty much, kind of underwrites this, that it's the Apostles' Creed. That's what I'm saying I'm a member to. It has nothing necessarily to do with all these other doctrines that may or may not play into the heart of what it means to be part of the kingdom. And that's kind of where I draw the line.
Okay. But, I mean, that's interesting because even the line, well, we're going to get into that boundaries, but the line you draw is part of the church corporate. Here's a creed, which in a Baptist church, they go, eek, and run away screaming. We try not to do that much. But thank you. I think both of you guys really kind of addressed the fact that membership's not about becoming yet another bureaucrat. We want to be part of something that's breathing and alive. So
probably one of the only things that part of the second part of your question, what can members not, or
that was
things
the one
not
that we
do?
didn't address, yeah.
Well, and Byron definitely can speak to this much more, purposefully than I could. But one of the things that I just know from just general things, unfortunately, sadly to say, as much as we want to be just organism-based, the church is still recognized by the state. There's still organizational things that have to happen. You still have to have certain titles and certain things that have to be there for you being a functioning member of the state. Otherwise, they basically don't recognize you as a nonprofit organization and or those kinds of things.
Because you're incorporated, you have to...
That's correct. And so from that standpoint, you are going to have, unfortunately, certain offices that have to have elections and all this kind of stuff. Not the least which, certainly in our today's society, which is a sad statement on today's society, that you even have to have background investigations for even nursery workers and things like that. We make that distinction for members, not for non-members. In other words, you cannot be serving in one of those committees as a non-member, because we don't, if you're saying, well, we're not really accountable to you as an organization,
you don't want them doing that,
then we don't want you doing that.
That makes sense. Again, the accountability, the discipleship.
Right.
Yeah.